Calibrating cybernetics.
Talk to him now.
AT, Andre.
Come on, Dre.
Yep.
Tripping with Let's Go.
Woo!
Tripping with Theo Bold.
What's your name?
Theo so bold.
Yeah.
Driggity. Let's go. Tripping with Theo Bold. Tripping.
What are we doing?
Tripping with Theo Bold.
Come on, Dre.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Tripping with Theo Bold. I'm your host, Andre Theo Bold. Welcome to the show. Glad you guys could tune in. Before we go any further, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend, and do all that fun internet stuff. Like the old people say, AT is where it's at on most forms of social media, so make sure you follow me. Not sure what side, but AT is where it's at on most forms of social media. Like I said before, make sure you follow me. So for today's topic, man, you know what I'm tripping on, man? I saw a clip that went viral of Anthony Mackey, man. Shout out to Anthony Mackey, man. Dope actor. You know what I'm saying? I like the trajectory of his career. I feel like he is doing Captain America justice. I feel like they found the right person for the role. But he said something in a clip that went viral. I think he was on the Pivot podcast, and he went on this whole rant about success being given, and he said that success is not earned, it's given, and I feel where he was coming from. But I don't agree with that. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about my opinion of his opinion. There's no right or wrong. It's just, difference of opinion. So in the clip, he was saying, he basically was saying that Black parents shouldn't lie to their kids, right? They should be honest about success and it being, given, and he seemed kind of jaded in the interview, right? Like he seemed like either seemed like he wasn't happy with his role as Captain America, or he seemed upset about it taking so long for him to get the level of success that he's getting, and I feel it. Like, I mean, how you feel is how you feel. You know what I'm saying? But me personally, I feel like, from my experiences, I feel like success. Well, first we gotta break some other things down. First of all, I feel like opportunities are given, right? There are lots of opportunities given to people that don't deserve it. I see people that are mediocre at what they do, and they're just given opportunities, but at the end of the day, I think everything depends on how you define success, right? So if you define success as someone else's success, then you're always going to feel like you're failing, like in the interview, he gave an example of actors that weren't on the same level of other actors, and then they just are given success, like they're just given this role, and I'm assuming that role must have been a role for a multi-series film or whatever. But if you define success as getting a role and then being on the big screen, and you don't get that, then you're going to feel like a failure every time. That's just real talk. To me, what we're not taught at a young age is we're not taught how to define our own success. Like when you go into school, we're taught you got to get A's, you got to get good grades, right? But then you get all these good grades, and you got people that cheat to get the good grades and people that cut corners. and then they still get the good grade, but then you're looking at like, man, you know, I feel like a failure because I didn't get the grade that this person got, and that's to me is where schools let students down. Also, we got to get out of this whole mindset of, I call it the tryout basketball mentality mindset. That's where you're like, man, I'm trying to make the team, coach. Like, hey, I'm doing everything I can. I'm here for you. And like, basically what you're doing is you're putting yourself as in the role of an employee. And then, you're not looking at yourself as a boss. You're looking at yourself as down here, and you're looking at the thing you're trying to get to, or the people that are going to grant you the acceptance as being up here. So once you have that mindset, like, you got to shake that shit. You got to find a way, like, how are you going to close the gap? And it all starts with just mindset, man. It's all about your mindset, like, a lot of people, I see it, like, here's the thing, right? I know a lot of people, let me back up. A lot of people just have goals and things they want to do, but they're not tied to any values, right? I talked about this in many episodes before, man. If you haven't gotten the book, I'm not trying to plug the book. Like, I'm not, like, they're not giving me money to plug the book, but it's this book called The Confidence Gap, and it basically breaks down like how to define what success is for you. Highly recommended. I did the work, so I know what success means to me. Or, you know what, I might not, I take that back. I'm still learning what success is for me, but I know one thing is not based off of what I see somebody else doing out there. Like, if some people go out and shoot a special and do all these different things, good for them. Bravo. Um, just because they do something doesn't mean that it's going to make me feel like I'm less of a person or make me feel like I'm failing. And that's the biggest problem I feel like in society, man, is people aren't defining their own success. Like, I know what my values are, and my values haven't changed. You can go back and watch that episode. Just go back and look at my values episode, right? But my values are authenticity, creativity, independence, mindfulness, and perseverance. Anytime I have a goal that I accomplish within that value, instant success. Instant success, right? Real simple, right? Well, it's not simple. I mean, I put the work in, but I'm making it about me and not about other people. Like, values, according to the book, like I said, I'm basically quoting the book. Y'all can get the book and read it for yourselves or not. But values are like a compass, and it just points you in a direction, where goals are steps along that way in that trajectory. So as long as you could look, you got a lot of people that are accomplishing a lot of shit, but they values are like all over the place, or they have no values. So no matter what they do, no matter how many movies they produce, no matter how many specials they produce, no matter what it is they do, they just don't feel successful because they aren't aligned with their values, or they don't even know what their values are. You know? So I've seen situations where people were given an opportunity and they ran with it. Like, if you get an opportunity, you want to be in a situation to where, you dominate, and not just dominate, but you make the people that you're auditioning for, or the people that gave you the opportunity, what you're doing is you're flipping the script to make it appear like, or to make it seem as if they're in awe of being in your presence, right? Like, anytime you audition for something or try out for something that's not yours, you need to go in there and be like, look, I'm trying to make them forget about everybody else. And like, if they don't get on me right now, they're going to miss out. I'm the prize, right? That's how you have to, like, kind of treat that. But let's say that you go out there and let's say that you do obliterate the competition. And let's say that, like, you're the cream of the crop or the straw that stirs the drink. You know, let's say that you do all that and you're successful in that, and you walk away knowing that, look, this is my opportunity and they need to give me what's due to me. If they don't give it to you, you kind of got to take a step back and say, you know what? I did all that I can do. Let me go over here and go build my own shit. Right? Like a lot of times, you know, we're trying to like play on a team or make a team. Like we're trying to always do something for somebody else on a platform that they built. And then when we don't get picked, we end up in this rut. It's like, man, pardon my language, but it's like, yo, fuck your court, fuck your ball. I got my own ball. I'm going over here and I'm doing my own shit. That's my mentality, you know? Like, so whenever I go to these auditions or whenever I'm trying out for something or doing a showcase, I'm looking at myself as a boss already. Like it's a business opportunity. You know, how can we conduct business together? You know? And if they don't respect my talent or what I do, fuck them. I'm building my own shit. At the end of the day, you know, people can talk bad about my shit. They can say it ain't shit, but guess what? It's my shit. What you gonna do about it? Nothing. Exactly. So we gotta have that like mindset, man, of like having of approaching situations or other people's platforms and seeing like how we can be of service to them. Not even being of service, but you have to look at yourself like a contractor. You know what I'm saying? Like you got your own business, you got your own shit going over here. Me not getting this isn't the end of the world. But once again, it all goes back to how you define success. You know, that's why I'm the way I am in corporate America, right? In corporate America, I don't take nothing personal because I don't own none of that shit. That's they shit. They're allowing me to work there to help them out in exchange for a paycheck. It's that simple. So when I do like 90% of the work and someone else comes along and I got to hand it off to somebody else and they only did, and all they did was put their name on my shit and they get all the credit, I don't give a shit. I don't own nothing there. That's they shit. Real simple, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I'm just real big into building my own thing. People need to well, first of all, people need to look at their values and what's important to them. And I think a lot of people haven't really done the work and they don't think of it that way. They just see what they see on social media and what's being flashed in their face, but they don't realize that if they were in that person's shoes, or if that, they don't even realize that that person might not even be happy doing what it is they doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's what needs to be taught, man, is how to just define your own success. What else, man? I was going to hit on. And back to Anthony Mackey's whole point about the movie. So the movie industry is probably different, you know what I'm saying? Because you have to, I mean, it's different, but it's also the same, you know? Like, yeah, you want to be in those big blockbuster moment opportunities, you know, but at the same time, it's like, what are you building and creating on your own? You know, I'm very harsh on Black people's stance on the Academy Awards, man. You know, I haven't watched the Academy Awards and like, I don't really watch this show like that because to me, it's like all the movies that win awards are movies that I don't even know about. You know, it's like, they're not even really advertised like that. I mean, maybe they are, but they're just not advertised on the big screen or in the big world like that. Like, I can't even like, there's movies that won stuff where I'm just like, I never heard of that movie before, you know? So it don't even matter, you know? So to me, what that does is it devalues the award, because how are you going to rate a movie that no one else even really knew about? You know, like that to me is kind of, it's whatever. It's they shit. It's they shit. If they want to say it's the best, it's the best. I'm not going to argue. I mean, it's their platform. It's their thing, you know? But to me, this is a call to action, man. I feel like, you know, like all the A-list Black actors, man, like Denzel Washington, you know, Samuel Jackson, everybody, man. I feel like this is the opportunity to where, I feel like this is an opportunity where Black people can create and define their own definition of success, right? Like we should have a whole nother award called the Denzels, you know, as opposed to the Academy Awards or the Oscars. Call it the Denzels, you know, and then we have our own academy of how we rate movies. And this is our opportunity to be fair. Let's look at all the movies, you know, and then we have our own grading scale for how we rate movies. And I feel like, yeah, it's a new award. People aren't going to really know about it like that. And I think the prestige of the Oscars comes from it being around for so long. But at some point, you just got to start new shit. You just got to start new shit. You know what I mean? Like just have like the Denzels, right? Where basically you have your own academy and your own, like the black elites of actors and actresses that come up with their grading scale for how they rate movies, you know? And then we just started, you know? I mean, people might laugh at it. People might say it isn't this, it isn't that. And it might not have any weight, but it's our shit, you know? And then over time, what'll happen is when, let's say like, you know, this is like the 100-year plan, right? Like, you know, we got to be more in the 100-year plan, like thinking like 50, 100 years down the road. But if we have our own award where we have our own grading system and our own grading scale for how we rate our own movies, what'll happen is from us being unbiased and actually taking a look at all the movies and giving out the awards as we see fit, it's going to start to challenge the Oscars. They're going to be like, yo, the Oscars is out here giving away bullshit for movies that we don't even know about. But here it is. We're rating everything based on our scale, and we've been consistent. So over time, that's going to eventually devalue the Oscars, you know? So that's what I mean, man, by saying defining your own success. Like, I feel like a lot of actors or black people in general, we define acting success as we got to get an Oscars, right? We got to get an Academy Award, you know? And it's like, who told you that was success? You know, it's the reason why you feel like that success is because it's been put in front of you for so long. And it's like this, it's no different than going to school and being told you got to get an A. Why you got to get an A? I mean, yeah, you want to get it, like, yeah, you want that to be a byproduct of it, but you haven't personalized the success for what it means to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my 2 cents on the shit. Like, I didn't want to get into discussing the Oscars or whatever it is, but to me, it's like, yo, like, there are movies that we make that are dope that should have gotten an award, you know? And instead of trying to wait for other people to validate it, why can't we just create our own shit in our own scale to where we praise and give an award for something that's long lasting, you know, that we can enjoy and that we can cherish, you know? Just something to think about. What else, man? Talked about authenticity, all that stuff. I talked about just being able to define your own success. Like, what are y'all thoughts, man? You know, I feel like we're in the era where, to quote Winston Zeddemore from the Ghostbusters, we got the tools and we got the talent, right? Like when the Ghostbusters took their first cut at the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and they thought they had him. They had all the tools. Like, they felt like, yo, we can do anything. And they eventually beat Gozer the Gozerian and / Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, right? End of the day, we're in an era where we got the tools and we got the talent, man. We can write our own shit. So the days of having to go to people to beg, man, them days is done. I'm not doing that, yo. Like I said, I'll still go and audition if you want to call it that, but what if we called audition something else? You know, like, I feel like the word audition has a negative connotation to it, where it's like you're going to try out for something to hope that you make it up to another level, or that you hope that you get picked. There should be a different name for it. Like, it should almost be something along the lines of a bid. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you bid for something, it's like you're not begging. It's just you're showing the value that you bring and how they can be successful by picking you. And if not, okay, cool. It's just business, you know? I don't know. Those are just my 2 cents. So yeah, what are y'all thoughts, man? Put it in the comments below. Let me know. I want to know what y'all think, you know? But like I said, Anthony Mackey, dope actor. Like I said, I like everything he's done. I like his role as Captain America. I think he's a perfect fit for Captain America. You know, but I could kind of sense that in that interview, he was frustrated either by the role that he got, either he's frustrated with the character or the role that he has, or he's frustrated at how long it took him to get to where he's at, you know? But end of the day, I just think, me personally, he just has to redefine what success is for him, because when you base success off of what other people are doing, you know, and what you're not doing, you always gonna feel like you losing. All right, so that's my 2 cents. That's what I've been tripping on. Like I said, I'm still building my shit, you know. So AT is where it's at on most forms of social media. Make sure you guys follow me. And without further ado, I'm out of here, folks. Peace. Yep. Tripping with Theobald.
Let's go.
Caliente.
Tripping. Yep. Tripping. Tripping. Tripping with Theobald.
Tripping with Theobald.